Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Corey, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. One of the things that comes to changing a sexless relationship is your decision making, and more importantly, decision making on your self-worth, knowing what you're worth within any interaction. And in the last few weeks, I had a situation where there was interaction with some of my colleagues where they wanted something to be done that wasn't safe, but also that needed to be doing, but really didn't add much more in terms of productivity. But it's just something that has always been done, but nobody's ever really looked into it, whether it's not worth anything. And when I refused to do that thing, it started causing some issues where people were getting a little bit frustrated. People started trying to use different authorities to try and force me to do it, even though it was a voluntary thing, and they're trying to make it into a compulsory thing. So there was a lot of interactions amongst people. And most people, when I started speaking to them, they're like, well, why are you pushing back so much? Like, aren't you afraid of losing your job? And I really thought about this. It's like, yeah, am I afraid of losing my job? And I realized that I wasn't afraid of losing my job because I felt like where I was standing was the right place I was standing. And not only was it the right place where I was standing, but I was prepared to lose my job and then walking away knowing that I stood up for myself instead of being bullied that I might lose my job, so therefore I should do the thing that they want me to do in order to protect my job, which would have made me hate myself for not standing up for myself. When it comes to being bullied, the fact that you don't have the tools to handle that bully is the thing that makes you the most helpless, most sad, most feel terrible about things. Because if you had the tools to deal with the bully, then you would deal with the bully. So again, it's the bullying is horrible already enough, but the fact that you don't have any tools to deal with it becomes a massive issue. And if I had yielded to that and said, okay, I'm just going to do whatever I want because I don't want to lose my job, what I would have done is that I would have hated coming to work and then hated myself for not standing up for myself. And then that would carry over into my relationship where I would either not be making very good decisions, but already the fact that I already feel shit about myself, I would interact to my wife very differently. And again, she would pick up on the fact that I hate work and the reasons why I hate work and the fact that maybe I'm being walked over. And even if I had to share the scenario, she'll look at it and think, well, why didn't you just stand up for yourself? And again, most of you guys, you share stories to your partners and not even realize that you are sharing stories that make you look weak, that confirm the fact that she thinks you're weak, that you're not very good at decision making, that you're not. So I've managed to handle this situation in a way where I didn't cause too much disruption where I look like a problem child, but at the same time I caused enough chaos to show them that I know my self-worth and this is crossing a line, and if anyone wants to step up and have an issue with it, I'm more than willing to talk about it. And as an engineer, I work off of facts and data and so on. So I managed to collect data to prove that this thing that you think is important is only giving you 4% based off of other factors. Anyways, not to bore you with the numbers and figure, but it was not even that. I said if it's that important to you and you want to improve by 4%, then these are the things that you might need to do in order to mitigate the risk of the disruption of production. So moving forward, instead of focusing on what I do, you should be focusing on some of the processes that you're doing and presenting in a way that wasn't saying that you're not good at your job, just more of I'm highlighting that this is the thing that you should be focusing on in order to mitigate this problem, which again, if I didn't stand up for myself, wouldn't have got to a point where we could have that interaction and actually have a collaborative solution to an issue. And this is very important. And I'm saying this because there's two things at play here when it comes to relationship-wise. The fact that I could stand up for myself, it carries momentum into my relationship too. That I'm not just am I able to speak out and put boundaries in my relationship at home, in my marriage, but also I can do that amongst work colleagues, and also a few interactions where they've been negative. I've been at the supermarket, somebody mistakes what I'm doing for something, and then we interact around it. And while that interaction is awkward, where somebody is either very aggressive or whatever, I can match their emotion and show them that no, this you cannot interact this way. And it was something that had happened recently where this gentleman, I don't know what was going on, but my daughter was somewhere, and then we were in his way, and he said something quite rude in front of my daughter, and I said, you're not going to speak to anyone in public like that, and you should not be speaking to anyone like that. And the fact that I was willing to call him out on his bullshit, it was enough for him to apologize. And of course, he apologized. My daughter said, I've got my daughter here, and I don't appreciate you speaking to anyone like that. So it realized pretty quickly that he's always done that to people, and people have yielded, but I wasn't prepared to yield to that. It didn't matter when there was 500 people in the supermarket, or it was just me and him. We were going to have that interaction in a way that was going to be resolved without any violence. But at the same time, if it did resort to that, that would have been bad luck for him. So, and I'm not saying that to boast, but I'm just saying that in all interactions in your life, you get these opportunities where it comes up where you can yield and feel pretty shit about yourself. And when you feel shit about yourself, you're going to carry over into any other interaction. And then you get to this weird slippery slope where people are just walking all over you all the fucking time. And this is a very bad thing to have. Now, a lot of you guys, you need to start taking control of a relationship where she disrespects you or speaks to you in a certain way. And sometimes I see it happening with my relationship, and I might give a wide berth around it. Recently, been doing a lot of decorating. There's been a lot of stress and anxiety around some of this stuff, and my wife is now sort of taken some really negative tones in some of the interactions that we've had, and I've given a wide berth, just saying, you know what, you're taking most of this, the task on here. I'm going to give you a wide berth with this, but it might come to a time where I just say, you know what, that's enough. This is how we're going to deal with this. From now on, when you feel anxiety, this is how we're going to deal with any other interaction that comes from here. Because again, it's not call to arms for you guys to take the hammer and then just hammer everything. It's also just having that bit of calibration around the relationship. Like, okay, me trying to lay down the law in this situation, is it going to derail me? This is how I measure it as well. Is it going to derail us to the actual objective, which is in this case, me putting some boundary at this point was just a thing that was going to put an obstacle to a place where we wanted to go. So I allowed that to happen, and then we've got to the place where we want to go. And at any point when it becomes to a point where I'm feeling massively disrespected, which is got a long-term effect, then I'll put the law and say, you know what, this is not how it's going to interact with this. So it's, again, I'm just showing you that this is how interactions happen. How they evolve within any place or workplace, at home. And again, it's not just you and your wife interactions, or you at work interactions, or you in public. Even with the children, there's sometimes where the other day I was speaking to my daughter and I said, I'm going to let that go, what you've just said, but that was really disrespectful. And it was just me trying to get to the ultimate goal, because I knew that if we had a place where I laid down the law, it was going to set her emotions. Just meant to be going for horse riding tests, so I knew that I couldn't affect that by laying down the law. But it was an opportunity for me to just say, you know what, I could have, but I'm giving this opportunity to do so. So it's again getting that little bit of calibration around it, like seeing the situation and reading it. But generally, you should be, ready to pull the trigger on any point within those interactions where you're being disrespected, or there's some issue where you feel like you're being bullied, you're something that is happening against your will. And again, also not second guessing yourself. At any point when you feel that feeling, you could be potentially wrong for feeling that feeling, but allow yourself to feel that feeling and say, okay, this is not, I don't really like this. Let's talk about it. And then if it's the wrong feeling that you should be feeling, then at least it's a dialogue, because there's a few situations where some things have been said in terms of people behind my back and saying stuff. I just go to this main source and say, I've heard that this has been said about me. Is that correct? And then it puts the other person in the spot to actually rectify or make corrections or backtrack, or at least it sets a tone of how we're going to interact. That if you've said something negative, okay, I want you to know what that is, or if you want to say it to my face instead of saying it to somebody else. And then again, this is how, I know it sounds crazy, but it's as soon as you start setting your tone and setting how you're going to say, I call it rules of engagement, in how you're going to interact with people, and it's in a way that is transparent and it's respectful and it's collaborative and all of these things, all of a sudden you gain respect from people, and people will interact with you differently. And when they do so, it's just that snowball effect, because even in my relationship, I just command the same amount of respect, because this is how I'll most likely treat people. I'll treat them with respect. And if I've got a problem with them, I've got enough respect to tell them to their face, and then we can start resolving that problem that one might have, or whether it's negative or whether it's something that we both need to work together in terms of creating something that is good. So whether it's in your relationship or not, or whether it's with people that you work with that are colleagues, or whether it's within just anybody you meet in the public who's a complete stranger, you can get to a point where you can interact and speak to them face to face. Now, I know you guys in America, it's a little bit different because some guys carry guns, so maybe I should be able to decide and see what's going on. I mean, in the UK, people that carry knives and stuff. So you have to be at least thinking about calibrating. When I spoke to the guy in the public, I was firm, but not confrontational. It was enough for him to just say, you know what, I have fucked up. Whatever shit what's going on in my life, shouldn't be taken out on a complete stranger in the public. And we got to a good resolution to an interaction. So I know this episode has been all over the place, but the real message here is that, you have to speak out. Don't be pushover in any area of your life. Don't allow that to be something that happens often. There are times when you can give a wide berth to somebody, but at the same time, you should always be quick to address these issues. And there's always, if you don't address it, you will feel shit about yourself. And that feeling of shit by yourself will linger and affect every other decision that you make within the time when you are suffering through all of that shit. So really, just wanted to make this episode and get you guys fired up about how you make decisions, and just don't allow people just to walk all over you, not just in your household, but anywhere where you go, that you can set boundaries in a way that makes you feel good about yourself as you interact with people. So thank you very much, guys. I'll be speaking to you guys soon. Take care.